Magandang araw mga minamahal na mga kapatid. Tayo po ay magpapatuloy sa ating pag-aaral ng mga issues na kinahaharap ng bayan ng Diyos sa kasalukuyan. Ang tanong na ating sasagutin at ipapaliwanag ng malaliman sa oras na ito ay ganito. Totoo ba na si Sister White ay hindi against sa draft? Kung i-positive natin ito, totoo ba na si Sister White ay sumasang-ayon sa draft? Ganun po. Talakayin natin ito dahil ito ang isa sa mga issues na nailabas noong comparative study na naganap noong April 12, 2026 sa Antipolo, Rizal, na hindi nabigyan ng pagdilinaw dahil po wala tayong sapat na panahon para linawin yon. Sabi kasi sa panig ng negative side na si Sister White daw ay hindi against sa draft. Ang mga SDA pioneers kasama ni Sister White ay against sa voluntary enlistment to the army, ngunit pagdating sa draft ay sinasabi na si James White at si Sister White na asawa niya ay pabor sa draft. Meaning, kung may draft ay sang-ayon sila na ang mga SDA ay sumali sa gira bilang active na sundalo. O kaya ay active na sundalo pero hindi magdala daw ng baril. Okay. Tingnan natin po ang setting nito. Suriin po natin ang mga historical records at alamin natin kung ano ang katotohanan ukol sa issue about Sister White and the draft. Para malinawan tayo. Dahil mahirap yung gagawa tayo ng conclusion sa ating sarili na hindi natin alam. Wala tayong sapat na kaalaman sa mga historical records surrounding these issues. Okay, so noong 1862, bago nagkaroon ng draft law sa Amerika, ay divided ang mga SDA leaders kung ano ang stand nila in case na may draft. Yan po. Si James White ay nagbigay ng kanyang initial na opinion tungkol dito sa draft. Sa kanyang article dated August 12, 1862 na napublish sa Advent Review and Sabbath Watchman. Sabi doon, "The position which our people have taken relative to the perpetuity and sacredness of the law of God contained in the Ten Commandments is not in harmony with all the requirements of war." So malinaw yun, ha? Lininaw niya na yung position ng Seventh-day Adventist tungkol sa law of God na dapat talagang sundin ang commandments of God, ay hindi in harmony sa requirements ng war. Ibig sabihin, doon sa requirements ng war, may requirements na contradictory sa law of God. Tulad lamang ng sabi, thou shalt not kill. Okay, that is a requirement of war. Kasi in war, you have to kill. Ang Bible naman sabi ng Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill. Okay, another one, siyempre, is yung Sabbath. Sabi ng Bible, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Sa war, pag sumali ka sa war, you cannot keep the Sabbath. You cannot keep the Sabbath during war. Bakit? Kasi wala namang ceasefire pagka Sabado. Hindi papayagan yan ng mga tao na may ceasefire. So, mababiolate mo talaga yung fourth commandment. Kahit pa sabihin mo na hindi ka humahawak ng baril, parang support system lang, nakasuporta ka lang, makakabiolate ka rin kasi magtatrabaho ka pa rin sa araw ng Sabat. Halimbawa, ikaw ay armor bearer o o kaya food delivery. Siyempre kahit araw ng Sabat, magdi-deliver ka ng pagkain yan. Maalala ko yung kwento ng tatay ko nung dumating yung mga US military doon sa probinsya during the Second World War. Yung mga natives, ginawa nila na tagahakot ng kanilang mga gamit. Hindi naman sila nakikipagbarilan, hindi sila marunong doang barile. Pero sila ang tagapaghakot ng mga kargamento ng mga sundalo, pagkain nila at saka lahat-lahat na ng mga kagamitan nila. Ay wala namang pahinga yon sa araw ng Sabat. Kasi paglalakad sila sa araw ng Sabat, mapilitan kang sasama. Yun na yung sinasabi na kapag sumama ka sa gira, kahit non-combatant pa ang role mo doon, meaning hindi ka kasama doon sa pumapatay, makaka-violate ka talaga sa fourth commandment. Maka-escape ka doon sa sixth commandment kasi hindi ka nga papatay. Pero sabit ka sa fourth commandment. Yan ang ibig sabihin dito na the position which our people have taken relative to the perpetuity and sacredness of the law of God contained in the Ten Commandments is not in harmony with all the requirements of war. The fourth precept of that law says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The sixth says, thou shalt not kill. But in the case of drafting, dito na, in the case of drafting, the government assumes the responsibility of the violation of the law of God. So, alam ni James White na talagang pag sumali ka sa gira, makaka-violate ka dito sa dalawa. Kaya kung mag-volunteer ka, you assume the responsibility. Pero in case of drafting, ibig sabihin, pag pinilit ka ng government by law, makaka-violate ka, sigurado yan. Pero ang argumento niya, the government assumes the responsibility of the violation of the law of God. Ibig sabihin, ang mananagot, ang gobyerno, hindi ikaw. Exempted ka. Kahit nakalabag ka, pero dahil ikaw ay inutusan ng gobyerno daw ang responsible. Yun siya ang mananagot. Ikaw ay excuse ka doon. Pero hindi naman yun ganon. Hindi tama yung kanyang idea. Pero at that time, kasi kulang pa yung liwanag na naintindihan nila tungkol dito. So, yan ang sinabi niya. He who would resist until in the administration of military law, he was shut down, goes too far, we think, in taking the responsibility of suicide. Ngayon, si Sister White, nung nabasa niya yun, ang daming mga komento, reaksyon sa mga kapatid. Si Sister White nagpahayag din ng kanyang opinion. August 19, 1862. Okay? Sabi niya, the peace of my husband, yung article of my husband wrote in the review expresses my mind, although I'm not fully settled in regard to taking up arms. But this looks consistent to me. Yan. Sa kanya, sa tingin niya, although hindi siya fully convinced na tama yung position na sinasabi ni James White na asawa niya, pero sa isip niya, parang consistent, parang tama. Pero hindi siya sure. Yan. Ngayon, i-analyze natin itong nasusulat kasi ito ang ginagamit nila para patunayan na Sister White daw ay sumasang-ayon sa draft. Dito po magagamit yung tinatawag na time and place must be considered. Yan. Sabi ni Sister White, regarding the testimonies, nothing is ignored, nothing is cast aside, but time and place must be considered. Okay? Selected Messages, Book 1, page 57. So ano bang setting nito? Ito ay sinabi ni Sister White, sinabi din ni James White, opinion nila ito. Hindi ito liwanag galing sa langit. It is their personal opinion. Okay? Habang wala pang liwanag na galing sa Panginoon, ganyan pa ang opinion nila. At habang wala pang unified stand ang SDA Church at hindi pa sila na-organize at that time, hindi pa sila fully organized as a general conference, in-express lang nila yung kanilang opinion. So tandaan natin yon na hindi ito yung kaisipan nila during the time or after the time na ang Panginoon ay nangbigay ng light through the spirit of prophecy. Ito ay prior to their receiving a light. Kaya hindi tama na i-project natin ito as if ito na yung position na nitong mag-asawa, si James White at si Sister White, even after na tinanggap nila yung liwanag noong 1863. Okay, so huwag po tayong magkamali niyan. Time and place must be considered. This is prior to the vision na binigay ng Panginoon kay Sister White noong January 1863. So, kailan na isulat ito? August 19, 1862. Anong historical context? This statement was made noong wala pa silang natanggap na liwanag ukol sa military service. Kaya wala silang unified stand regarding military service. Kundi kasalukuyang pinag-aralan pa lang nila kung anong stand ang tatayuan nila. And at that time, ay hindi pa sila fully organized as a denomination. Yan po ang circumstances noon. Okay. Ganon pa man, ganon ang opinion ni James White at saka ni Sister White na tila consistent sa tingin niya, although not fully convinced. Ito naman si H. Carver, he disagree. Iba naman yung opinion niya, hindi niya matanggap yung opinion ni James White. Sabi naman niya, noong October 21, 1862, but says Brother White, in case of drafting, the government assumes the responsibility of violating the law of God. This seems to me to be untenable and dangerous ground. Hindi daw ito maganda na position. Bakit? For if the government can assume the responsibility now for the violation of two of those holy precepts, and we go clear, why may not the same government assume the responsibility for the violation of the Sabbath law, and we go clear when the edict goes forth that all shall observe the first day of the week? Ayan naman ang argument niya. Kung tama itong argument na ito, paano kung pagdating ng Sandelo? O, di ba pipilitin nga by law na ipipilit na nila yung observance of the first day of the week? So kung sasabihin natin na yung government na pumipilit ang mag-take ng responsibility, ngayon, ganon din in the time of Sandelo. Ang magiging argument, ang mangyayari niyan, susunod na rin tayo sa pag-keep ng first day of the week as the Sabbath because of the law. So ang mangyayari, mapapasubo tayo kung ganun ang ating concept ngayon, pagdating sa Sandelo, sigurado na mark of the beast ang tatanggapin natin, hindi seal of God. Kaya sabi niya, this is untenable and dangerous. Yan. Ngayon, ito naman si Brother Cottrell, medyo mag-agree siya kay James White, pero meron siyang reservation. Sabi niya, huwag tayong padalos-dalos. Mas maganda, mag-pray tayo. Humingi tayo ng light from God. At matatanggap natin yan. Okay, sabi niya sa October 14, 1862, but if every remonstrance failed and it was evidently coming to this, I would recommend following the advice given until further light is elicited from the word or given from above. But perhaps I have said enough. I want the true light upon the question, and I believe we shall have it. Those who patiently wait for it will have it when they need it. And so, nagsuggest siya na, let's be patient and ask God for further light. At sigurado na He will give us light on this issue. At totoo, sinagot ng Panginoon yung kanilang panalangin dahil noong January, testimonies number 9 was given. based on the vision na tinanggap ni Sister White. Okay? Kaya sumulat siya dito sa Testimonies number 9 na yan ay naisulat sa Volume 1, Testimonies for the Church. Sabi niya sa page 360-361, I saw that it is our duty in every case to obey the laws of our land, unless they conflict with the higher law which God spoke with an audible voice from Sinai. He who has God's law written in the heart will obey God rather than men, and will sooner disobey all men than deviate in the least from the commandment of God. God's people, taught by the inspiration of truth and led by a good conscience to live by every word of God, will take His law written in their hearts as the only authority which they can acknowledge or consent to obey. The wisdom and authority of the divine law are supreme. Ayan. Dito ang nagbukas sa kanilang isipan yung importance of keeping the law of God. Na yung law of God is supreme law, higher than the law of the land. So, pwede tayong mag-obey sa law of the land, provided na it does not contradict the law of God. But in case na there is conflict between the two laws, law of God and law of man, we would rather obey God than the law of man. So, yun ang nagbukas ngayon sa isipan nila. So, sa ganon, kung ang law of God ay pipilitin niya tayo na magsundalo, pumatay, ay hindi tayo dapat sumunod. Yun ang essence ng liwanag na ito. Ngayon, sabi niya, papaano, sasama tayo sa gira pag may draft? Sabi ng liwanag galing sa Panginoon, hindi. Sabi dito, I was shown that God's people who are His peculiar treasure cannot engage in this perplexing war, for it is opposed to every principle of their faith. In the army, they cannot obey the truth and at the same time obey the requirements of their officers. Ito ang mabigat. In the army, they cannot obey the truth and at the same time obey the requirements of their officers kahit pa na under sila ng tinatawag na non-combatant role ang kanilang function doon. Non-combatant means any role doon na basta hindi ka papatay, basta sumama ka sa gira, maging sundalo ka. Sabi niya dito, in the army, they cannot obey the truth and at the same time obey the requirements of their officers. There would be a continual violation of conscience. Kasi yung opisyal mo doon, hindi naman Sabatista, hindi naman nakakaintindi sa Sabbath commandment. Kahit Sabado, uutusan ka niyan. At pag hindi ka sumunod sa utos niya, lagot ka. Mapapahamak ka. Kaya there would be continual violation of conscience. Kahit ayaw mo, mapipilitan ka ngayon na lumabag sa kautusan ng Diyos pagkasama ka sa army. Yon. The 10 precepts of Jehovah are the foundation of all righteous and good laws. Those who love God's commandment will conform to every good law of the land. So ano daw ang gagawin ng mga tutuong bayan ng Diyos? Those who love God's commandment will conform to every good law of the land. Yung draft ba ay good law of the land yon? Bad law yon. Kasi ang draft, pinipilit ka na isama doon sa sundalo at papatay. Kahit pasabihin mo na non-combatant role, hindi ka actual na pumapatay. Pero, sabi nga ng isang kapatid, okay, sige, hindi ako sa Batista, hindi ako sumasama sa pagpatay. Pero, kasama ako na sundalo. Sige, ako na lang yung tagapagbigay ng bala. O yung isa, taga baril. O ikaw, ako ang magsusupply. Armor bearer na lang ako. Okay. Ngayon, siya lang ba kaya ang nagkakasala doon ng pagpatay? O pati ako ay kasangkot din? Kasama, magka-partner kayo eh. Kung hindi siya makabaril yan, hindi ka siya makapatay ng mga kasama gamit ang baril. Kung walang magtutulong sa kanya na magbibigay ng mga bala. Ayun. So, kahit hindi ka bumabaril, kasi non-combatant ka, pero kasama ka, accomplice ka yan. Kagaya lang ng robbery. Okay. Halimbawa, merong team. Yung team na nagplano ng robbery. Yung meron talaga yung humawak ng baril na yun talaga ang papasok sa bangko. Ready to fight talaga yun sila. Pero yung isa naman, sabi na, ang papel mo dito, ikaw lang ang watcher. Pag may nakita mo na merong mga pulis, dyan, timbrihan mo kami. Yung isa naman, driver. Okay, driver. Hindi naman nagrarab pero kasama siya doon sa trabaho. So ano sa tingin ninyo? Yun lang actual na pumasok sa bangko na kumuha ng pera ang guilty of robbery? O kasama yung watcher, kasama yung driver? Ano sa tingin niyo? Kasama pa rin yan. Kaya yun ang sinasabi natin na hindi talaga pwede. Sabi ng Spirit of Prophecy, in the army, they cannot obey the truth and at the same time obey the requirements of their officers. Okay. But if the requirements of the rulers are such as conflict with the laws of God, the only question to be settled is, shall we obey God than man? Ano ang sagot doon sa tanong? Acts chapter 5:29, sabi ng mga apostles, we would rather obey God than man. Yan ang sagot diyan, mga kapatid. Okay. Ang maganda, noong dumating itong liwanag galing sa Panginoon through the Spirit of Prophecy, tinanggap ito ng iglesia, yung liwanag na ito. At saka yung yung mga different opinions, give up na nila yung opinion nila, sumang-ayon na sila doon sa liwanag ng katotohanan na ibinigay ng Diyos sa kanila na hindi sila dapat mag-join sa war. In whatever capacity yun, kasi makaka-violate talaga sila sa fourth commandment at kasama sila doon sa action ng war na pumatay talaga ng tao. Magiging accomplice sila doon sa patayan. Okay. So, dahil sa malinaw na liwanag ito na binigay ng Panginoon, noong 1865, nagkaroon ang SDA Church ng General Conference Session. At dito sa General Conference Session na ito, bumuo sila ng resolution na yun yung pinaka-expression of their unified position as a church. Hindi na position ng individual ito. This is the church position. Ano yung sabi nila sa kanilang resolution? Resolve that while we thus cheerfully render to Caesar the things which the Scriptures show to be his, we are compelled to decline all participation in acts of war and bloodshed, as being inconsistent with the duties enjoined upon us by our divine Master toward our enemies and toward all mankind. Review and Herald, May 23, 1865. So ito na po ang nagiging official position ng SDA Church, including Sister White. Yung sinabi na nila dito, we are compelled to decline all participation in acts of war and bloodshed. Ibig sabihin, hindi sila mag-participate talaga, non-participation in war. Okay. Hindi kahit doon sa medics, hindi pa rin sila mag-participate doon. Kahit armor bearer, hindi pa rin pwede yon. Kahit driver, hindi pa rin pwede. Because if you do that, you are still part of the system, part of the machinery, part of the team. And anuman ang gawain ng team, gawain ninyong lahat yon. Yon ang punto dito. Sinasabi nila na hindi daw total non-combatancy o total consensus objection ang position nila. Pero sabi lang nila yan. Pero dito, ang unawa nila talagang total non-participation in war. Okay. Yun po talaga ang gusto nila. At yun ang official position ng Church at that time. Ang tanong, di ba? Nabanggit ko na pero ulitin natin. Ano ang unified official position ng SDA Church tungkol sa draft na kanilang isinubmit kay Governor Austin Blair ng State of Michigan? Itatanong natin ito kasi doon sa comparative study na tinawag nilang debate ay may tanong. Binasa ko kasi itong resolution. Sabi nila, yun ba yung official na position na sinabmit nila sa government kay Governor Austin Blair? Dapat yun ang titignan natin kung ano yung sinabmit nila doon. Ibig sabihin, kahit nandito na yung GC resolution, ang gusto nila na makita ay yung nasa GC resolution. Sinabmit daw sa government. Public document. Okay. Sinabi ba nila na pag may draft doon sa sulat, sinabi ba nila sa sulat na yan na kapag may draft ay sasama sila sa digmaan as draftees at makipag-cooperate sa anumang gawain ng isang sundalo, provided na hindi sila gagamit ng armas to kill the enemies of the state? Ganon kaya yung sinulat nila? Na pwede nilang suportahan ang gira at they can do any other military duties, puwera lang yung gumamit ng armas at pumatay. Yun ba ang kanilang sinulat doon? Titignan po natin. Pero sabihin ko sa inyo, dahil advance ko ng binasa, wala pong ganun na sinulat nila. Okay? Although gusto na palabasin ng iba na doon daw sa sulat, nag-apply sila na as non-combatant. Daw yung position na isubmit nila doon. Pero ang totoo ay hindi po. Tignan nyo itong actual na sulat. Itong actual na sulat. Photocopy ng actual na sulat na kanilang binigay kay Austin Blair. Sabi nila dito, to His Excellency Austin Blair, Governor of Michigan, we, the undersigned Executive Committee of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, respectfully beg leave to present for your consideration the following statements. The denomination of Christians calling themselves Seventh-day Adventists, taking the Bible as the rule of faith and practice, are unanimous in their views that its teachings are contrary to the spirit and practice of war. Hence, they have ever been conscientiously opposed to bearing arms. If there is any portion of the Bible which we as a people can point to more than another as our creed, it is the law of 10 Commandments, which we regard as the supreme law, and each precept of which we take in its most obvious and literal import. The fourth of this commandment requires cessation from labor on the seventh day of the week. The sixth prohibits the taking of life, neither of which, in our view, could be observed while doing military duty. Our practice has uniformly been consistent with these principles. Hence, our people have not felt free to enlist into the service. In none of our denominational publications have we advocated or encouraged the practice of bearing arms. And when drafted, tandaan natin to, when drafted, ano ang decision nila pag na-draft? Sasama sila? At suportahan ang gawain ng gira, provided na hindi doon sa actual na pagpatay? Hindi. Sabi nila dito, and when drafted, rather than violate our principles, we have been content to pay and assist each other in paying the $300 commutation money. And while that provision remained of universal application, we did not deem any public expression of our sentiments on this question called for. We would further represent that Seventh-day Adventists are rigidly anti-slavery, loyal to the government, and in sympathy with it against the rebellion. But not having had a long existence as a distinct people and our organization having but recently been perfected, our sentiments are not yet extensively known. The change in the law renders it necessary that we take a more public stand in the matter. For this reason, we now lay before Your Excellency the sentiment of Seventh-day Adventists as a body relative to bearing arms, trusting that you will feel no hesitation in endorsing our claim that as a people, we come under the intent of the late action of Congress concerning those who are conscientiously opposed to bearing arms and are entitled to the benefits of said laws. Okay. So, sinabi ba nila dito na sila ay non-combatant but can participate, can join the army as a bona fide army soldier at gagawa ng any duty of a soldier, puwera lang yung paggamit ng baril at pumatay? Yun ba ang sinabi nila na pinaliwanag? Wala pong ganyan. Ang sabi nila, the denomination of Christians calling themselves Seventh-day Adventists, taking the Bible as the rule of faith and practice, are unanimous in their views that its teachings are contrary to the spirit and practice of war. Anong ibig sabihin na spirit and practice of war? Yung motive ng war, yung motibo ba ng war? Halimbawa, aggression, at saka suppression, ganun. At yung pag-conquer, pagpatay, and then practice of war means yung actual na talagang makipagpatayan ka. Okay. Ang sabi nila, they are unanimous in their view that its teachings are contrary to the spirit and practice of war. And that is the reason why they said that they have ever been conscientiously opposed to bearing arms. Why are they opposed in bearing arms? Because they are not supporting the spirit and practice of war. The spirit of and practice of war is contrary to their duty as Christian, as explained in the Ten Commandments. Yan po ang kanilang stand na present doon. So, hindi po nila dinefine ang kanilang position as non-combatant ayon doon sa konsepto ng batas ng gobyerno about non-combatant. Sila po ay conscientiously opposed to bearing arms. Yan ang sinabi. So, ang tanong, ano ang official position ng SDA ukol sa draft ayon sa isinabmit ng GC Committee kay Governor Blair? Remember this, Hindi nila sinabi na they are non-combatant. Ang sabi nila, we are unanimously in their views that its teachings are contrary to the spirit and practice of war. Hence, they have ever been conscientiously opposed to bearing arms. Tanong, paano yung stand nila tungkol sa draft? Pag meron bang draft ay sumasang-ayon sila na, sige, pwede kayong sumali sa sa gira. Magpa-enlist kayo as soldiers. Ganon ba ang sinabi nila? Hindi. Sabi nila dito, in case of draft, rather than violate our principles, we have been content to pay and assist each other in paying the 300 commutation money. Mas baling magbayad na lang kami kaysa yung sumali kami sa pagiging sundalo. Kahit pa na ang role ay yung sabi nila na non-combatant as defined by the law, hindi pa rin sila sasama doon. Kundi yung may provision ng law doon na gusto nilang i-avail. What is that? Magbabayad. Pag nagbayad ka, exempted ka na doon. Hindi ka na kailangan na mag-perform ng duty to the hospital o kaya duty to guard the freed slaves o kaya any other military role na unarmed. Walang ganon. Yung sa kanila is they would pay the $300 para ma-exempt sila kasi ang position nila is non-participation in war. Yan po ang original teaching and position ng Seventh-day Adventist Church. Tanong, mayroon bang provision ang draft law ng Amerika at that time that was enacted on February 24, 1864 upang ang mga SDA draftees ay makasunod sa kanilang position as consensuously opposed to bearing arms and non-participation in war and bloodshed at makaiwas to participate sa war. Meron bang provision na pamamaraan na ibinigay ng batas noong 1864 na ang Seventh-day Adventist pwedeng makaiwas sa participation in war? Meron o wala? Meron. Basahin natin. Dito tingnan niyo yung screen. Ito ay yung provision ng batas, tinatawag dito na Article 17. Basahin natin. And be it further enacted, this is part of the law, Article 17. Be it further enacted that members of religious denominations, kasama na ang SDA doon, basta lahat ng religious denomination, who shall by oath or affirmation declare that they are conscientiously opposed to the bearing of arms, and who are prohibited from doing so by the rules and articles of faith and practice of said religious denomination, shall, when drafted in the military service, be considered non-combatants. Tingnan natin yung stand ng SDA Church, hindi non-combatant. Pero doon sa batas ng gobyerno ng Amerika, merong provision doon about non-combatant. Okay? Na yung non-combatant na provision doon sila pwedeng makapasok para makakuha para masunod nila yung kanilang doktrina na non-participation on war. May provision doon about non-combatancy na pwede nilang ma-avail para matayuan nila yung kanilang doktrina na non-participation in war. Ano yon? Okay, tuloy natin na basahin. The members of religious denominations who shall by oath or affirmation declare that they are conscientiously opposed to the bearing of arms and who are prohibited from doing so by the rules and articles of faith and practice of said religious denomination shall, when drafted into the military service, be considered non-combatants and shall be assigned by the Secretary of War to, number 1, duty in the hospital or to the care of freedmen, or shall pay the sum of $300 to such person as the Secretary of War shall designate. So dito po, may provision dito na pwedeng sakyan ng mga Seventh-day Adventists in a way na matupad nila yung kanilang non-participation in war na position. Ano yun? Yung number 3. Yung number 3, they don't have to go to care for the freedmen, they don't have to do duties to the military hospital. They can pay $300 and they are exempted. Good news yon? Good news. Yon ang way out na provide ng Panginoon na nailagay doon sa batas na yon para ang mga Seventh-day Adventist ay hindi na sila mapilitan na sumama sa gira para matupad yung non-participation in war na doktrina nila. Okay. So, yan po ang napakalinaw na sinabi ng batas. Okay? Na ang mga taong may paniniwala na conscientiously opposed to bearing arms shall, when drafted in the military service, be considered non-combatants and shall be assigned by the Secretary of War to duty in hospitals or to care of the freedmen, or shall pay the sum of $300. Ayan. At ito, inilagay ng government sa kanilang sulat in reply doon sa request ng committee kay Austin Blair. Si Austin Blair naman, kinuha niya yung sulat na yon, tapos nag-recommend doon sa mga authorities na may kakayanan na mag-decide at mag-reply. So pinasa-pasa ngayon yung sulat as recommendation hanggang sa itong si merong Provost Marshal General na siya ang sumagot. Okay. Ito ang sagot niya, September 1st, 1864. Provost Marshal General's Office. Respectfully return to Reverend J. N. Andrews, member of religious denominations who have been drawn in the draft and who established the fact before the Board of Enrollment that they are conscientiously opposed to the bearing of arms and are prohibited from doing so by the rules and articles of faith, and that their deportment has been uniformly consistent with their professions, will be assigned to duty in hospital or to the care of freedmen, or shall be exempt on payment of $300. Okay. Binigyan sila ng choices, 3. Kayo, dahil consensus objectors kayo, kung madraft yung mga members nila, meron silang 3 choices. Inoffer yan, privilege yan, na inoffer ng government law sa kanila. Pwedeng nang mag-alaga ng mga slaves na napalaya, pwedeng mag-assume ng duty sa hospital, pero pwede namang complete na non-participation in war basta magbayad lang ng $300. Ayun. Kaya ang tanong, ano ang nagiging choice ng Seventh-day Adventist? Anong pinili nila? Sabi ng negative side, ng mga kapatid natin na SDA, sabi nila, ang pinili daw is yung number 1 and 2. Number 1 and 2. Hindi daw nila pinili yung number 3 on the ground na mahal daw. Hindi kayang bayaran. Yan ang sabi nila. Doon ang napakalaking mali. Na akala nila ay tama, pero maling-mali. Hindi po yung number 1 and 2 ang pinili ng Seventh-day Adventist at that time, kundi yung number 3. Kasi doon sila pasok. Yung number 3 kasi, yon ang mag-harmonize doon sa kanilang position na non-participation in acts of war and bloodshed. Yon ang mag-harmonize doon sa kanilang position na we are conscientiously opposed to bearing arms. Okay. So, ano ang patunay na yon ang pinili nila? Kasi dito, evidence-based tayo dito. Sa kanila, sabi nila yon ang pinili daw ng mga SD at that time. Pero mali po yon. Wala silang pinakita na ebidensya. Meron ka ba kayong mga kapatid na present nila na ebidensya na yon ang pinili ng mga SDAs? Wala eh. Wala akong matandaan na present nila na matibay na ebidensya na talagang ganun ang pinili nila. Bumasa lang doon dito, sa aklat na ito, sa statement ng author dito, si Helmut Kramer, na ang pinili nila is hindi yung number 3, kundi kung number 1 or either number 1 or number 2. Pero wala naman silang ibang pinakita na ebidensya. Ito hindi pa naman na ipanganak noon. Baka kulang din siya ng research. Inassume na lang niya na ganun para depensahan lang yung present apostasy. Gusto lang nila na pagtakpan ba yung present na apostasy. So gusto nilang ipakita na yung gawa nila ngayon, yun yung gawa ng mga SDA noon. Hindi nila alam na malaking pagkakaiba. Okay. So, anong patunay ngayon na number 3 ang pinili ng Church ng Seventh-day Adventist noon? Evidence number 1. Ito Article January 24, 1865. We are in favor of raising a fund for the benefit of our efficient preachers who are liable to a draft. And we would set the sum for each to pay into the treasury at $100. Those faithful and true laborers who have not the $100 have friends in Christ who would gladly donate this sum for them. The interest we have in this matter for our fellow laborers in particular is sufficient to induce us to pledge $100 to such a fund for the benefit of those only who pay or their friends for them the sum of 100 each into the treasury. Oh, nag-fundraising sila. So kahit yung mga hindi draftees, tinutulungan nila yung draftees. Oh, para lahat ng mga draftees ay malibre sa military service kasi number 3 ang pinili nila, magbayad. Oh, evidence number 1 pa lang yan, mga kapatid. Ha? So, mali kaagad yung sinasabi ng ating mga kapatid na SDA. At yun nga ang sinabi nila doon sa comparative study, na ang pinili daw nila ay hindi number 3. Hindi number 3 kasi sabi niya, Brother Peter, tingnan mo naman yung yung $300, ang laki niyan, hindi kayang bayaran. Ha? Sabi, pero dito, sinasabi, nag-fundraising sila. Kasi nga, doon sa kanilang application, sinabi na nila kaagad, di ba? Oh, balikan natin dito. Sabi nila dito, yung sa sulat nila, our practice has uniformly been consistent with these principles, hence our people have not felt free to enlist into the service, and when drafted, rather than violate our principles, we have been content to pay and assist each other. Anong ibig sabihin yon? Assist each other, magtulungan kami sa isa't isa to pay the 300 commutation price. So kahit yung pobre na membro na walang kakayahan na magbayad, hindi magiging problema kahit kung na-draft kasi nagtutulungan yung mga membro para mabayaran yon. Yun ang kanilang decision. Yun ang kanilang pinili. Number 3 ang pinili nila, magbayad kaysa yung duties in the hospital, care for the slaves na na-free, hindi yon ang pinili nila, mga kapatid. Kaya huwag po tayo sanang madaya doon. Pandaraya yung sinasabi nila na hindi daw pinili yung pagbabayad kasi mahal. Panglilito sa mga tao, pangdideceive sa mga tao ang ganyan. Para lamang ipakita nila at kumbinsin yung mga tao ngayon ng mga Seventh-day Adventist na walang kamuang-muang sa history at yung tunay na katotohanan na sila okay lang sa kanila na sumama sa gira. Yan ang doon ang nagiging problema sa kanilang presentation. Okay. Dito tayo, evidence number evidence number 1, pero merong objection kasi dito. Dito sa aklat na ito, sa page 55, merong sinabi dito na sasagutin natin. Kasi ito binabasa din nila yon akala nila totoo ito. Para lang ma-neutralize yung effect dito. Sabi dito, please note that this proposal was specifically for workers in the cause of God, and not directed toward the membership as a whole. For membership, there was also concern, but in another manner. Parang, okay sa mga ministers kasi may fundraising, especially para sa mga ministers. Paano naman yung mga hindi ministers na walang kapera-pera? Kaya pinili nila yung number 1 and 2. Kasi yun, hindi sila kailangan magbayad. Pero mali na naman yon. Okay, hindi tama yung ganun nila na yung fundraising nila ay specifically para daw sa mga workers. Ito ang context. Out of context kasi yung sinabi nila Dito yung binasa nila dito, kung titingnan nyo, may 4 na paragraph dito. Yung 3rd paragraph ang binasa. Tapos, yun ang sinabi nila na para lang sa ministers. Pero basahin natin yung first 2 paragraph na nauna. Sabi dito, but our brother has set his figures vastly too low. Yung unang nag-suggest kasi ng contribution to raise funding for the draftees, mababa yung binigay na figure. Si Elder White na ngayon, nag-propose ng mas mataas. Kasi yung nung suggestion ng isang kapatid, pagkwentahin mo, kulang yon para mabayaran yung requirement na payment sa lahat ng mga draftees. Kasi alam nila kinuwenta nila kung ilan ang mga possible na madraft na mga members. Kaya sabi niya, taasan natin. Pakinggan niyo at babasahin ko. But our brother has set his figures vastly too low. Masyadong mababa. It is said that the next draft will take about 1 in 3 of able-bodied men liable to the draft. And it is supposed that this proportion of Seventh-day Adventists will be drawn. That is 1 in 3. 1 in 3 Adventists ay pwede pasok sa draft. In this case, if it should pay into the treasury $100, the same would be sufficient to pay $300 for all drawn at the coming draft. Oh. Kaya yung maliit na sinuggest ng isang kapatid, sabi niya, taasan natin, gawin natin na $100. Oh. Pagka ginawa nating $100, the same would be sufficient to pay $300 for all at the coming draft. O, mabayaran ng lahat, ministro man o ordinaryong member, lahat ng possible na nasa tamang edad na pwedeng mapasok sa draft, pwede nating bayaran lahat yan. Hindi tayo maghihirap. So, kinuwenta na nila. But it is probable that in many places, the quotas will be filled without a draft. Okay. So, yan po ang setting, mga kapatid. Huwag kayong maniwala dito, sinasabi dito na, oy, pang ministro lang. Parang palabasin nila na, okay, meron sa ministro, ma-exempt, pero hindi ma-exempt yung mga members. Hindi nila alam, inignore nila yung context, na yun palang fundraising nila, kinuwenta na nila na kung magtatagumpay, magiging sapat ang collection nila para mabayaran lahat ang mga Seventh-day Adventists na makapasok sa draft. Yan po, mga kapatid, ang dapat natin na tandaan. Evidence number 2. Letter to Governor Austin. Di ba yung sulat nila kay Governor Austin, nabasa na natin kanina, na when drafted, rather than violate our principles, we have been content to pay and assist each other to pay the $300 commutation money. So ito na yung implementation, yung binasa natin kanina na fundraising campaign na ginawa nila, ito na yung fulfillment ng kanilang usapan noon, na magtutulungan sila. At mabuti naman na pinagkalooban sila ng ganun na privilege ng government. Kasi 3 yung offer nilang privilege. May nakapasok yung $300 na kung babayaran mo yon, exempted ka sa lahat. Hindi ka kailangan pumunta doon, hindi ka kailangan punta sa hospital o mag-alaga ng ano pa man dyan. At any role na non-combatant, hindi mo kailangan yon, magbayad ka lang. Exempted ka na. Ito ang inavail ng Seventh-day Adventists. Okay, dito tayo sa evidence number 3. Review and Herald, September 27, 1864. For the future, we design to pay tithes of all we possess and labor proper hours, seek for the restoring influence of rest for ourselves and overworked family, and give ample chance for those who have a zeal for the Lord to lead off in the liberal enterprise of the cause. Only this one privilege we claim, of paying $10 to each efficient minister who shall be drafted from among us to help him pay the $300. Oh, meron pang another program. Doon sa mga tithe payers, din siyempre meron silang tithe and offering. Nag-request sila na doon magbibigay ng tithes and offerings, mag-reserve sila ng, $10. Magbigay din ng offering ng $10, especially para doon sa mga ministers who will be drafted, para mabayaran sila. Okay. Yan, special para sa ministers. Pero may program din sila para sa mga members. Mas mataas nga yun, $100 each. Ito, $10 na sa offering. Okay. Evidence number 4. Nag-fundraising pa sila ng ibang klase naman. Ito. Review and Herald, March 21, 1865. We have prepared a set of books and papers for those who may be drafted from the Seventh-day Adventist churches and wish to pay the 300 commutation money, a privilege granted non-combatants for the 17th section of enrollment law. So ano po ang ibig sabihin nun? Meron silang ginawa na aklat, ibinebenta nila yon purposely to raise funds para bayaran yung 300 commutation money para yung mga SDM members na makapasok sa draft ay mabayaran nila para ma-exempt doon sa lahat ng uri ng military service. Yun po ang ginawa nila. Nag-print sila ng aklat to be sold for fundraising purposes para mabayaran yung $300 per person na madraft. Okay? Evidence number 5. Review and Herald, January 24, 1865. Sabi dito, the President of the United States has issued another call for 300,000 volunteers to fill up the ranks of our enemies. In all probability, the most of that number will be obtained by drafting. Now we, in common with others, are subject to said draft. In all probability, some of us will be drawn. I propose that we raise a draft fund to redeem those who may be drafted. Okay. Ang drafting pala, yung pag-recruit nila ng mga sundalo, hindi lang isang beses. Habang tumatagal ang panahon, naka-recruit na sila, Pagka hindi pa huminto yung gira, tapos nauubos na yung sundalo kasi namamatay, nagre-recruit sila ng dagdag para merong reinforcement. By draft na naman. So, tapos na yung unang recruit, meron parang panukala yung presidente na mag-recruit uli. At possible by draft. So, nakabayad na ang mga Seventh-day Adventists doon sa kanilang mga draftees na nauna. Pero meron pang inaasahan nila na baka mangyari pa ang next na draft. So pinaghandaan nila uli yung next na draft. Ano yun? Nag-propose uli sila, I propose that we raise a draft fund to redeem those who may be drafted. We as a people have pleaded for equality. I think there should be equality in this as well as in other things. I have known some of our brethren who have been drafted that had to make a quiet sacrifice to raise the $3,000. Members, itong sinasabi dito. Some have had to borrow, others had to sell their homes. Talaga namang nagsasacrifice sila. Tignan nyo, talagang non-participation talaga yung kanilang, yung kanilang stand. Kasi nga, pag may member na nag-draft, isasacrifice nila yung property nila. Mas baling maibenta nila yung lupa o bahay o anuman para lang ma-exempt sa draft. Kung non-combatant na pwede silang pumunta doon, why do you have to sell your property? Pumunta ka na lang doon. Di ba? Pero bakit nagsasacrifice sila? Kasi ang position talaga nila is non-participation in war. Ayan, mga kapatid, They have to borrow and they have to sell their homes. Some of our preachers who have been drafted have had to raise their exemption money by subscription. Ito naman, subscription. Itong mga ibang ministers, they raise na draft para makalikom ng pera. Naghanap sila ng subscribers ng magazine. Para pag nakakuha sila ng maraming subscribers, meron na silang pagbayad. Meron kasing subscription fee. Pagka nag-subscribe ka sa magazine, merong subscription fee yun. Tapos yung ikaw na nagbenta, meron ka ring porsyento doon. Ipunin mo, yun ang pangbayad mo sa draft fee. Okay. Yan. So some preachers who have been drafted have had to raise their exemption money by subscription. If we all felt an interest in this, acting on this principle laid down by the apostle, while one member suffers, all members should suffer with it. I think a sufficient amount might be raised without anyone's being compelled to suffer. Kaya ginamit nila yung biblical principle na pag may isang naghihirap, isang kalingkingan naghihirap na bahagi ng katawan, all the other body suffers, di ba? Pagka naipit yung kamay mo, kahit kalingkingan, dama ng buong katawan ang sakit. So makikipag-sympathize ka, yun ang punto na ginamit nila doon. So kahit mga babae man yan, old age, mga young people na hindi draftees, nakikipag-sympathize sila yan, nakikiramay, kaya nagko-contribute sila. Yan. While the 300 clause was of universal application, the people of the world formed themselves into clubs to assist each other to pay their commutation money. Sa labas ng Seventh-day Adventist, ito namang taga-sanglibutan, tinutulungan din nila yung mga lalaki nila na ayaw nilang pasamahin sa gira. They formed themselves into club, tapos mag-contribute din para matulungan nila. Baka yung by family naman, yung family mo, by clan. Pag merong ayaw nyo naman na mamatay yung anak nyo sa gira, di mag-contribute kayo, mga apo, mga uncle, auntie, para ma-exempt siya. Yun ang maganda doon. Ginagawa na nga ng tagalabas. Bakit hindi gagawin naman ng mga Seventh-day Adventist? Ginawa talaga ng Seventh-day Adventist yan. Bakit? Because their doctrine is non-participation in war. Okay. Pero yung doktrina na yon, yung stand nila yon, pasok doon sa kategory ng non-combatant. Pero hindi talaga yung non-combatant, hindi yun yung doctrine nila. Kaya lang, pasok sila doon sa classification ng non-combatant doon sa government definition. Pasok sila doon. Kagaya ba ngayon ng sabi natin, kung meron tayong eskwelahan dito na church school, kung iparegister natin sa government, saan ipapasok? Doon sa department ng government schools o sa non-government schools, private? Doon sa private, so yung NGOs, doon mo ipapasok. Yan, ganon din dito na yung conscientiously opposed to bearing arms, non-participation in acts of war, pasok sila doon sa kategory ng non-combatant provided by the law. Ayan. Okay, evidence number 6. Ito, Review and Herald, November 24, 1863. The advancement of the third message is the highest object on earth for which we can labor. Whatever suffering there may be elsewhere, this cause should be the last to suffer for want of means. Should our brethren be drafted, they should, if necessary, mortgage their property to raise the 300 rather than to accept means that should go into the Lord's treasury. Okay. We should say this even with ministers. Kahit isanla mo yung yung bahay mo para ma-exempt ka lang. Okay. Next, number 7, evidence number 7. Review and Herald, September 27, 1864. In urging that the money raised by systematic benevolence should not be lessened or diverted from the support of the ministry, he cited his own practice, si James White pa rin ito. Without lessening his usual annual payment into this fund, he had laid aside an equal amount to help drafted ministers if necessary. A year later, he claims as one privilege the payment of $10 to each efficient minister who shall be drafted from among us to help him pay the 300. Okay. Evidence number 8. Thus, he set an example of faithfulness in the support of the cause and in helping those who might be involved in the draft. A similar spirit was manifested throughout the field. One of our ministers, Elder Isaac Sanborn, facing payment for a note which was soon coming due, inserted a notice in the review stating that he had borrowed $150 to clear another brother from the draft. and inviting the help of any who would like to assist in this enterprise. It was this spirit of mutual helpfulness in providing funds for the payment of bounties for exemption, which made it possible in the most cases for our brethren to avoid serious conflict over the question of bearing arms. So yan po mga kapatid ang ginawa nila. Napakarami pong ebidensya na talagang ang pinili nila yung number 3, hindi yung number 1 at saka number 2. Kaya mali po talaga yung kanilang sinasabi na hindi daw number 3 ang pinili para lamang masuportahan ba yung kanilang present apostasy, na ganon kasi yung practice nila ngayon. Sinisikap nila na iugnay doon para parang lumalabas na tama kasi parehas. Yung tayo nila ngayon, yun ang tayo dati. Din namamalayan naman itong iba na magkaiba pala yung tayo. Noon, talagang non-participation in war. Okay. Pero ang nangyari, meron din talaga yung ano ba, siguro hindi lumapit. Merong 2 Adventista na walang pera, hindi rin siguro lumapit doon sa mga kasamaan para humingi ng tulong, kundi dahil wala siyang pera at nakatanggap siya ng summon, pumunta. 2 sila pumunta eh. Inaasahan nila na i-avail nila yung non-combatant privilege na yung number 1 at saka number 2. Gusto nilang i-avail yun. Kasi wala silang pangbayad para ma-avail yung number 3 na exemption. Okay, ito ang kanilang sulat. Person number 1. I would like to say a few words to my dear brothers. Through the review, I feel to praise the Lord for His abundant goodness to me. While passing through the trial which I am called to endure, I was drafted November 2, 1864. Okay. Mahaba ito, pero ibigay ko na lang yung kwento. Pagdating niya doon sa military camp, sinubmit niya yung pangalan niya at saka yung mga supporting papers niya. Nag-apply siya ng non-combatant na mai-assign siya doon sa hospital. Ngayon, kinuha naman yung papers niya, sinubmit doon sa taas. Sinubmit sa taas for review. Dumating yung sagot, hindi siya pinayagan. Hindi daw sufficient yung papel niya para ma-qualify siya na ma-avail niya yung privilege number 1 and 2. So, linagay siya sa combatant. Sa combatant. Tapos, pinasama siya doon. Kinukwento niya, buhay pa naman nun, kinukwento niya yung pangyayari na talagang nahirapan sila doon sa pinuntahan nila. Pero wala nang sunod na sulat, hindi natin alam kung anong nangyari, namatay ba siya doon o hindi. Pero napilitan na sumama sa gira as combatant. Yung isa, ganon din. Ito ay, itong karanasan ng isa ito ay naisulat January 24, 1865. Yung karanasan ng isa, ganon din, the same publication. Ganon din ang kanyang, ang pangalan niya, C.F. Hall, yung pangalan ng pangalawa. Okay. Na sinabi din niya na ganon din, nag-apply din siya na mag-avail ng privilege number 1 and 2 pero hindi na i-grant sa kanya. Kaya napilitan din siya na sumama doon sa girat as a combatant. Ayaw payagan. At sinamarize ni James White, yung experience na talagang kawawa yung mga nag-a-apply doon kasi although nandun sa batas na merong yung mga consensus objectors ay pwede doon sa hospital at saka sa iba, pagdating doon sa actual, yung mga taong in charge, hindi naman kinikilala yan. Hindi rin nirespeto. Pero sinabi niya na hindi iginagalang ng mga local leaders sa military yung batas. Pinipilit na nila yung mga tao na isama talaga sa combatant. Kasi doon, yung combatant ang nangangailangan hindi yung hospital. Yung combatant talagang nangangailangan, kaya pag may pumasok, doon talaga nila dinadala sa combatant. Okay. Tanong, paano naman daw yung yung sinulat ni Sister White noong 1888 na ito ang ini-interpret nila na endorsement ni Sister White sa draft, na pwede daw ang draft. Okay, basahin natin. Kung ini-endorse ba ni Sister White yung pag na-draft ka, pupunta ka doon, tapos sasama ka sa gira. At doon ka sa medics o doon ka sa hospital. Ito, wala na yung freeman eh. Wala na. Kasi 1886, matagal na yung care of the freedman eh. Okay, dito sabi niya, we have just said farewell to 3 of our responsible men in the office who were summoned by the government to serve for 3 weeks of drill. Okay, ito ay walang gira ito. Pero ang batas doon sa Switzerland ay yung mga young people is they are required for a 3 weeks training, drill, military training. Yung mga ito yung compulsory draftees o training. Kagaya namin noong merong ROTC, compulsory yun eh, na magsama ka sa ROTC, training yun eh. Military training yun. Reserve officer ang kalalabasan. Dito, merong 3 membro natin na pinayagan na pumunta for the drill. It was very important stage of our work in the publishing house, but the government calls do not accommodate themselves to our convenience. They demand that young men whom they have accepted as soldiers shall not neglect the exercise and drill essential for soldiers' service. We were glad to see that these men with the regimental had taken tokens of honor for faithfulness in their work. They were trustworthy men. This did not go from choice, from choice, but because the laws of their nation required this. Pero ang requirement doon, drill lang naman, hindi naman makipaggira. Doon lang sa drill. We gave them a word of encouragement to be found true soldiers of the cross of Christ. Ano ang encouragement na binigay ni Sister White? Pinayagan sila na pumunta. Pero ang encouragement, to be true soldiers of the cross of Christ. Ano ang gawain ng true soldiers of the cross of Christ? Sumunod sa batas ng gobyerno, nalabag sa batas ng Diyos? No. Sumunod sa batas ng Diyos. Rather than batas ng tao. So pagdating doon sa training, kagaya ko, nag-training din ako noon ROTC. Pagka araw ng Sabat, because naniwala ako na I'm a soldier of Christ, hindi ako pumapasok. So, ayaw at sa gusto nila, hindi ako pumasok. Pagdating doon sa training, sa marching, sumama ako sa marching, minsan. Pero dahil hindi rin ako sumasama doon sa pag-practice ng baril, nakiusap ako doon sa commandant namin na doon na lang ako sa opisina. Kasama ko yung mga member ng Jehovah's Witnesses. Doon na lang kami sa office. Tapos, doon kami sa yung medical corps na yung bang stretcher, pag may nahilo, takbo kami, doon magkukuha. Doon lang kami. Sa ISDARM, walang problema doon. Walang problema. Wala namang gira hindi ka makakalabas. Basta ito ang tama, yung sabi ni Sister White. We gave them a word of encouragement to be found true soldiers of the cross of Christ. Yan ang tama. Pagdating mo doon sa training na compulsory training, pagpahawakin ka ng baril, pwedeng huwag mong tanggapin. Yung na lang, kahoy na lang. Ganon po yan. Pag Sabado, ay talagang huwag kang magtrabaho para hindi makabiolate sa Sabat. Ayan po mga kapatid. Pero, kung sa gira, pag sumama ka sa gira, makakalabag ka talaga. Kaya nga bawal sa SDA, non-participation to war talaga ang principle ng Seventh-day Adventist. Dahil kung sa war ay sumama ka doon, Kahit ayaw mong humawak ng baril, pipilitan ka sa Sabado, hindi ka payagan na magpapahinga. Ma-court martial ka talaga niyan. So, yan po mga kapatid, ang tandaan natin. Sabi ni James White, the experience, they seem not to be exception but the rule. We have not yet heard of any who thought their claims as non-combatants were endorsed by the Provost Marshal of the district and certificates granted them accordingly have succeeded in obtaining a position in hospitals or in the care of freedmen. Wala silang nabalitaan sa mga pumunta sa military na nabigyan ng exemption. Although nasa batas pero wala talaga. Sa actual practice, hindi nasunod yun. Ngayon, ito ang final. Ito yung final na pambato nila na sinasabi nila na, si Sister White, noong 1886 ay nagbigay na nakatanggap ng liwanag na pwede na tayong pasok sa military. Pag na-draft, huwag lang pumatay. Pwede daw sa military, basta draft, huwag lang tayong mag-volunteer. Pero mali. Wala. Misinterpret lang nila yung sinasabi ni Sister White. Ito, basahin natin. Letter 55, 1886. Your inquiry in regard to the course which should be pursued to secure the rights of our people to worship according to the dictates of our conscience. This has been a burden on my soul for some time, whether it would be a denial of our faith and an evidence that our trust was not fully in God. But I call to mind many things God has shown me in the past in regard to things of a similar character, as the draft and other things. I can speak in the fear of God. It is right. We should use every power we can to avert the pressure that is being brought to bear upon our people. Hindi niya sinasabi dito na it is right that we should, when drafted, go to the military. Hindi. Ang right dito, gawin natin ang lahat ng mga makakaya natin para makayanan natin, maiwasan natin yung pressure. Kagaya noon, ang pressure noon na talagang sumama sa gira. Anong ginawa nila para maiwasan? Nagtulong-tulong sila para mabayaran yung $300 para ma-avoidan nila yung transgression. So yon, gawin natin ang lahat na makakaya natin para hindi tayo makalabag. Yon ang punto ni Sister White doon. Hindi yung sumama ka as combatant, tapos to free the slave, doon ka sa hospital. Wala na yon, wala nang slave issue noon noong 1886. Tapos na yon, lumang tigtugin na yon. Pero ginagamit nila ito. Wrong use of the testimonies, misinterpretation, para lang ma-justify yung kanilang present stand na mali. Okay. So, yon po ang ating masasabi. Meron tayong sapat na evidence na i-present? Meron po. Pero noon, sa kanila, napakinggan ko, wala silang supporting evidence sa kanilang sinasabi na yung mga SDA pioneers, hindi nila pinili yung option number 3 na magbayad. Kundi ang pinili daw nila ay option number 1 and number 2. Wala silang mga halimbawa na pinakita to prove na yon ang kanilang pinili. Pero tayo, meron tayong matibay na basehan. Marami tayong ebidensya na patunay na ang pinili talaga nila is yung consensuously opposed to bearing arms, yung non-participation in acts of war and bloodshed. Para masunod nila yon, pinili nila yung option number 3. Magbayad na lang ng $300 kaysa yung makabiolate sa principle. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig. Nawa po ay naka-enlighten ito sa inyo at naka-alis sa confusion sa inyong isipan. Purihin ang Diyos.